Another shocking move. Cesaro, arguably one of the greatest in-ring performers of his generation, is leaving WWE. That's right. Cesaro is leaving WWE on some odd terms. We'll get into that. Plus, we have news about Jeff Hardy and his expected jump to All Elite Wrestling following his release from WWE a few months ago. Oh, we're not done. We have even more contract news. Brian Cage, who many people thought was going to be out of All Elite Wrestling, he is now staying with the company reportedly, and MJF kissing that ring makes the wrestling world talk and shed a tear at the same time. It's today's Sportskeeda Wrestling top story of the day. You share that like you stink.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
People yelling that we were late here today. Andy Wilson saying, I got to wait another 12 minutes. What the F? So much.
No, we just had to push the start time out because Facebook gets nuts if we're a little late. And then
so we had to deal with that. So
we can only go 15 minutes out on Facebook. We could start early when we reschedule.
Thank you guys for being patient and joining us here. We have a lot of news here. If you're with us live, you're with us on demand, it doesn't matter. Let's get right into it. Cesaro out of the WWE. Give me the details.
PWInsider here with some very shocking news late this afternoon, where they have indicated that Cesaro has quietly exited the WWE. His current contract expired. He last performed on February 11th, losing to Happy Corbin on SmackDown. The two sides had been in negotiations, but did not come to terms to a new agreement. What had happened, one source said that WWE did offer Cesaro an extension on his current deal, and he ended up turning it down. So this is a case where Cesaro's contract has expired. There is no 90-day compete because the contract has expired. Cesaro had been slated to be at SmackDown's taping here tomorrow in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Obviously not going to be there anymore. The 41-year-old Swiss Superman had been in the WWE since 2011 when he inked a deal with FCW, and he has numerous accolades to his credit, but no world title. Of course, he was in the world title picture with Roman Reigns a little while ago, and then that cooled off and really did not seem like there was any kind of steam building at all again for that type of deal. Furthermore, with Fightful Select, or not Select, but Fightful confirming the information as well. It was pretty interesting because they'd indicated, we were all under the impression that Fightful had, or not Fightful, I think Fightful reported that Cesaro had signed an extension and whatnot.
That would have been 2020.
1 year ago. One year ago, they
one year ago. But I guess some of those deals in the pandemic were restructured so that the release date was cut down. Because I think during the pandemic, WWE did that across the board. That's why we saw Kevin Owens had a deal that was supposed to be up in 2024. Those deals were reorganized to then end at an earlier point. I think because WWE didn't know what they were going to do with their roster when the pandemic happened. Yeah. There's been some speculation about that, but no one in the WWE has gone on record of how those deals were reorganized. But that happened with many, many superstars across the board.
And furthermore, on the Fightful Select report, immediate reaction from those within the company was disappointment and dismay.
Yeah.
Because Cesaro has been one of the most universally liked talents on the roster. Fightful was told this is not a case of WWE not wanting him there. In fact, he was offered a new contract. Let's see. WWE confirmed to Fightful that Cesaro was on a 1-year extension. So I guess that was only, the report from last year where he signed an extension was only for 1 year. So It wasn't a complete re-sign. There were plans to use Cesaro on upcoming shows, but there had been no long-term creative plans for Cesaro unless the new deal would have been reached. Cesaro then lost his last 7 televised matches going all the way back to November. And we're told there was no indication he was going to re-sign, so no incentive to push him. One source has indicated this isn't the first time this has happened, as they recalled contract negotiations last year caused Cesaro to be pulled from a top 10 contender gauntlet match because he hadn't signed. So,
and that makes sense. I mean, that's like if you're any promotion, you have a guy in that position, you don't know if he's going to sign or not. That's reasonable. Now, WWE's done something with CM Punk where they literally put the guy in a main event of a pay-per-view and they know he's going to sign with the company and they roll the dice. This is a surprising move just because Cesaro, for fans, especially the last 10 years, has been the mechanic of WWE. And I mean that in the sense of a guy who, when he's in a certain position is going to steal the show. He's in that Dolph Ziggler position where, all right, we got this issue, we got this. Smash glass in case of emergency, and here comes Cesaro to save the day, right?
Yeah.
And that happens with WWE. That's happened with AEW a little bit with injuries and different shuffles, and you've seen it on Impact as well. Someone steps up. He's a guy who stepped up so many times.
And let's throw this in here. A regular on the channel here, Philip. Happy birthday today, Phil.
Happy birthday, Phil. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it, buddy.
So it's interesting. I mean, now 3/4 of the famous Up, Down, Down show to party is gone, with only Xavier Woods still remaining. It'll be interesting to see where Cesaro goes, because a lot of people regard him as one of the best wrestlers today, like best technical wrestlers today. You could say AEW is probably going to make a push. Wouldn't be surprised. He's got a lot of friends there.
He's free to show up right now.
Ring of Honor, be dumb not to reach out to him to see if he could make a return to Ring of Honor. I'm sure he could probably be a future Hall of Famer with Ring of Honor as well. If they
Claudio Castagnoli has a lot of history there.
If they're going to do this on a regular basis, of course, Impact Wrestling is growing, and even though they're on Access TV that has limited access, pun intended. They've been growing in the ratings and getting more eyes on the product. And, a lot of people had a lot of good things to say about No Surrender, their last pay-per-view special that was last week. So, Impact is kind of, if Impact could just get a bigger deal, a better deal with a better channel, I think they would really start to flourish again, because it's been a good product. But, honestly, I think with Adam Cole in AEW, one of his best friends, I wouldn't be surprised that, a lot of people, people think the default is AEW. I don't always say that. You don't always say that. But in this case, I think it's probably the thing that makes the most sense. Don't you believe?
It makes the most sense. And he's 41. So the fact that WWE would offer him a new deal means they trust him. They trust his body. I mean, he's one of those guys that has a phenomenal physical condition and has that deceptive strength. But the fact is, WWE would push him and pull back and push him and pull back. And they did that for 10 years. And it was a matter of, I don't want to say diminishing returns, because people believed in this guy, liked him enough where they didn't care that he couldn't cut the best promo. They didn't care. I think fans just loved Cesaro because they knew he was such a great wrestler and could do dynamic things with his character. They're, changing the entrances, the different tag team. He's arguably one of the best tag team wrestlers of the last 25 years for the stuff he's done in WWE, with 2 different pairings with TJ Kidd and then with Sheamus. 2 of those best teams that put on some real legitimate, 5-star bangers for WWE. And did some great stuff as a solo guy, but you didn't want to pull the trigger with him and make him a world champion. It wasn't the right time for him to beat Roman Reigns earlier this year. He had one of the best matches for WWE earlier this year. Yeah, he did lose on the way out here recently. But it's not all bad. It's not all bad. He gets to leave on his own terms. That's kind of fun and exciting. So you mentioned all the different options he has. Independent wrestling going to be popping off WrestleMania weekend. I'd be surprised if he wasn't in an event that weekend in Dallas, if he wasn't doing something that weekend in Dallas, or maybe he just wants to chill out for a while before he gets back in the game. Or, I'm not going to say he's done with wrestling, and who knows? Maybe WWE secures some other deal with him in some other way. We don't know. We've seen that happen with Drake Maverick just this last week. He got released, and then they found a role for him off camera. I'm not saying that's going to happen for Cesaro. I think this guy's a domino. He still wants to go out there and have banger matches. I do think you're going to see him in the ring. I do think you're going to see him in the ring soon.
Right here. I mean, Cesaro's got a lot of good friends here from Ring of Honor and WWE. AEW makes the most sense out of this.
It makes the most sense, but it is one of those returns that won't surprise anyone. It is one of those returns. Now you start seeing so many people jump over, now you have to find a way to make these combinations of guys you've seen on television for the last 10 years interesting. I do like it though. You haven't seen Cesaro a whole lot with CM Punk. They had some interaction for 3 or 4 years, but they never had full programs. You could do him with MJF. You could do him and all these different people. There's a lot of great combinations. Him and All Elite Wrestling makes complete sense.
You need to get on the phone with your peeps there in AEW and get yourself a Claudio Josh Alexander match stat.
Well, here's the thing, yeah, I agree with you. Here's the thing. We have Ace Steel on our next coming show, which is pretty sweet. And Ace has been working in off-air roles in wrestling for a long time. He was a part of the Second City Saints crew with CM Punk and Colt Cabana in the early 2000s. You have a guy who's getting back into indie wrestling in his 40s, but still looks great. He's going to be on our next show. Go get your tickets. AAWPro.com. AAWPro.com. March 19th, Logan Square Auditorium. We're going to be live on fight.tv. Go check that out. I would love to see Cesaro pop up at this. Jeff Hardy, he will be hitting the road with his brother on a reunion tour of sorts after a very testy exit from WWE. Now, he's been doing these signings and solo musical concerts. He's done his music thing on the side for a long time. And he basically does meet and greets at all of these. And he did one, and this video comes out, and a fan's talking to him, and everyone's going to be asking him for him, and Jeff. Jeff has no filter. If you get Jeff Hardy, 9 times out of 10, you're getting Jeff Hardy saying exactly what he thinks in that moment. He did not protect the business or the kayfabe of, Jeff Hardy just showed up at All Elite Wrestling. Jeff Hardy's All Elite. Oh, well, he just said, hey, are you going to AEW? And he's like, yeah, I'm going. I'm really excited.
But, I mean, how this surprises absolutely nobody.
There's a video. We have this video up at Sportskeeda.com. It's widespread right now.
Yeah, it surprises absolutely nobody, though. We knew. Matt basically said it almost the day he was fired that basically he's going to join him over there in AEW, and they're going to have one more run as a team. And so it's kind of interesting how it is news, but at the same time, we know it's coming. So it's just an inevitability of waiting for that 90 days to run out.
I agree. I don't think it's too much of a surprise. I don't think in this case, specifically with Jeff, it's when, not if, and it doesn't give something away. I think Cesaro, because it's so fresh off, if someone knew he was going to All Elite Wrestling now, then you got a problem. Then you got contract tampering. Then you got somebody talking to you while you're under a deal. That's a completely different circumstance, and that's something you would need to keep quiet, and you want to protect the ooh and ah and the surprise of it. And we knew CM Punk was showing up in Chicago, right at the big show they had at the United Center, right?
Yeah.
But they were so protective of that secret. So protective of it, and really let fans do the talking for them. In this case with Jeff, we just knew Matt's there. He's got to go there. They only have how many more years left in their career? It made more. It's obvious. It's a little bit easier to connect those dots.
Yeah, and basically, he's been doing these tours. He came to my town. I wasn't able to go. I think that was when I had COVID in January, so I wasn't able to go. And that's kind of sad. It would have been great. I had some friends that got to meet him, and that was really cool too. So, but I think that 90-day. I'm trying to find when that 90-day no compete is, if that is before or after Revolution. I wanted to say it's after. I want to say it's after.
It's after.
He got released on the 9th. 9th of
December. It's gonna be after. It's gonna be he could be basically
Dynamite or the Dynamite after is gonna probably be where he shows up.
James McCroson here with this JM3. Let's go with that. Full name here says, I love Cesaro and Jeff going to AEW, but they have so much talent already that they hardly use anyone. This is true. This is a problem. They have a lot of talented people that are sitting on the sidelines right now. Big Show is not even being used.
Well, he's not supposed to be used. He's more of he was signed to be a backstage guy and a commentator. He was rarely going to be used in the ring. So
he left WWE to wrestle again, and I really believe AEW needs 2 shows similar to Raw and SmackDown. I
do think Tony needs to get off of the Rampage has to be 1 hour regardless. That needs to be 2 hours. I think it needs to be 2 hours to make it Thursday or Friday. Friday's tough because unless you want to go head to head with SmackDown,
can't.
It's hard to do
it. You don't want to do it.
It's hard to do 2 hours at 10 Eastern. So, that's the other problem. Do you make it a Saturday night like the NWA and WCW days before the Monday Night Wars? Do you make it a Saturday night type of deal? Maybe that's the best route to go. I don't know, but the Dynamite almost needs to be 2 hours. And a lot of their stuff, and 2 of their shows are on YouTube, so a lot of people don't catch those, and so that's why people think they don't see them. But yet, a lot of these people are on Dark and Elevation, but it's just hard for everybody to catch everything. I don't even catch Dark and Elevation myself.
No,
so,
but that's where Big Show is. Like, so I mean, that's the thing, is you got people that go there and they want to do some things and really change the world. And,
I'll tell you what, like, the common people or the diehards may not all tune it all in, but I mean, those shows on YouTube do very well. They pop a good live number in terms of streaming, and they pop a good number in views. So
true. Nothing to bat an eye at, but here we are. We're in a real wrestling war. You got people going back and forth. Yeah. You got Cody Rhodes going to WWE expected any day now, right? And you had plenty of guys go to All Elite Wrestling here. So this is how things are working out. Now, one move that is surprising here is, as we talk about people coming in to All Elite Wrestling that are free agents and available, there was people that were going to have their deals not renewed. That is what Tony Khan and AEW's running talking point is that we're not going to cut anybody unless they are like they break some ethics policy with us, or they do something outrageous, right? Or we come to some agreement that we have to let them go. Now, there's some people that are on the fence about getting let go, that their contracts are going to come up, that signed that first wave of All Elite deals in 2019. All Elite kept those people during the pandemic, when who knows what wrestling was going to be then, and we're still kind of getting our way through it, even though we're back on the road again, right? God forbid we have another wave of those issues, right? So we have someone that many people thought was in that camp of people that was not going to get re-signed, that was not going to get a new deal. That is Brian Cage. Former Impact World Champion Brian Cage was one of those names that was expected not to sign a new deal or not be offered a new deal. And some people were very surprised by this. Fightful Select reporting that Cage was backstage saying that he was offered a new deal, an extension on his current deal, and that it was something that even he was a bit surprised by, and some other people were surprised by, since he has not been used on television since October. So that's a long time not to be on TV. The thing was with Cesaro, like, yeah, he was losing matches, but he was on SmackDown, most watched show on television. Lost some matches, but was featured, for a long, long time here in the past few months. Like, even just, a few weeks ago, he wasn't at Crown Jewel. There was nothing on the table for him at Crown Jewel. So it makes a little bit more sense. Brian Cage, it was just a matter of when. This guy was already active on the independent circuit. Plenty of the guys in AEW can be. Depending on what your deal is, you can be.
You don't have live events to worry about. You don't have to be on the road 300 days a year with the company.
No, there's no house shows. It's not the same type of structure. And there's certain guys in tiered deals too that are allowed to do that. And Cage is one of those guys that is allowed to do that. And he's active with Warrior Wrestling here in the Midwest. He does some stuff on the West Coast where he's based out of. So it's surprising. It is surprising to me that Cage is still with the company. Is this, what do you think this is on the surface? What's his future?
You wonder if Tony's trying to keep people from going to WWE.
I think so.
But at the same time, we all know what WWE's motive is right now in terms of getting people. It's not getting indie guys, not getting older guys. It's growing your own young talent, which they are doing a good job. I mean, you look at NXT 2.0, you look at Carmelo Hayes, you look at Tony D'Angelo, you look at Grayson Waller,
all young studs, all under 30.
Their plan is starting to work. Though NXT is not reaching the grand scale of what it used to be viewership wise and in the eyes of fans, they are doing a good job of growing new stars. And of course, you got Braun Breaker as your champion. Yet another example. I don't know if it's a case of that. I'm assuming. I don't know if the wrestler has the option to decline it or not. And and maybe Cage and Tony have talked. Maybe there is some sort of a long-term plan for him in 2022. I don't know, but that's probably a conversation that was left between those two guys. But at the same time, you got to wonder if Tony's trying to play a little ball too against WWE.
I maybe it's a combination of both, and it's just a matter of, well,
You would have to assume the wrestler has the option to decline that too.
I don't know. That's not clear.
Yeah. Their original contract might have had language.
Yeah. So we don't know if that language is in a deal or not,
Yeah.
And that deal could be, you just stay with us. If you want to have a televised wrestling role, you're doing that with us. You can do your independent wrestling stuff and make plenty of money on the side and do all those different limited dates. You can't have like crazy dates, right? We can claim your dates first if we want to, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this plays out here.
You mentioned Warrior Wrestling. Holy crap! They got a card coming up here on the 12th of March. Killer Cross is taking on Jake something, and Lance Archer and Jonah, the former Bronson Reeds. A couple of
someone's starting some shit with me. You want?
I think I saw it earlier, but
you want me to pull this up?
Yeah, I think I saw it earlier.
You want me to pull it up? I'll pull it up.
I think I saw it earlier. Yeah, I saw that.
Read what Ricky said.
Kev, AEW has way better shows than WWE. Just admit it already.
Number one, when did I tell you that one was better than the other? when did I say that WWE had a better show?
Everything has to do with tribalism.
I know, but Jeremy, when have I ever outright said this company is better than this company? I haven't said that.
I don't think you've ever said WWE is better. You just apologize for them when they don't really deserve it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Fine. But I also don't feel the need to like jump at their neck every 5 seconds. Is that fair? Like, to me, it's just like wrestling. I move on to the thing I like, and I understand, like, this is a huge deal. Cesaro's leaving. This sucks. You couldn't get Jeff Hardy to stay. What the hell is going on, right? And then All Elite Wrestling, you're losing Cody, who's like the heart and soul of your brand. So there's like stuff you can see both ways. I'm just objective. I think that's part of it is I'm objective. I'm not here. Let me put it this way. This isn't Fox News. Like, I'm not going to come on and just give you like propaganda and talk down to you and just tell you the reactionary things you want to hear. This isn't Kev from New York. You know what I mean? I'm not doing things to like carny you. Like, I'm talking about wrestling with you.
You carny piece of shit.
What?
You carny piece. That's like the new. That's the new good. That's the new go-to term in wrestling now. I've seen it being obviously. I think Christian used it a lot on Don Callis. I've been seeing it used on Impact a lot. Yeah. That's like the new popular term. Oh, hey, for us old people, some sad TV news. Hot Lips passed away just now. They just announced.
Oh, Hot Lips Houlihan?
Yeah, she just passed away. 84. Oh. I believe she was 84. Man, I was never a gigantic MASH fan, but one of my best friends in college was, and so every day before we'd go to computer science class, we would sit there, eat lunch, and watch a little MASH before we went to class.
Kevin O'Shea saying JD from New York. Yeah, I've heard of the guy. I've heard his channel. I've watched his stuff. That's his style. That's what that's his thing. He does it, and he does it very well.
What does he do?
Him. The guy has a channel is a very, I would say, from what I've caught, very all elite focused guy. All right, and that's fine, and a very critical thing, right? That's just not my vibe.
Does he poop on WWE all the time?
From what I can tell, I haven't watched in a while. Thank God we got our YouTube back, right? Yes, our YouTube is back. Everybody, did you notice that? Fun times. Kudos.
Oh yeah.
Kudos to our corporate team in India who had to slave over that while they were at a group retreat. They were on like a vacation, and we had to deal with this huge, awful issue here. So
that was boy. Thank God content was preserved. Let's just say that much.
And thank you guys for checking out, supporting the channel through all these different hardships. More than 26,000 subscribers. If you have not done so, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Turn your notifications on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you so much. Make sure your notifications are on there too. I know there's this wonky thing recently with some people who follow streams on Facebook specifically that you don't get the same type of notifications. So definitely go and give that a click. MJF really got people talking with the things he was talking about. Arguably, people are calling this one of the most best and shocking promos in professional wrestling in recent memory. A man doesn't have to take a bump, but only hold a microphone and get people amazed with his promo this week on Dynamite. It has gotten a widespread acclaim. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I've had friends tell me it was maybe the best promo they've seen in ages. It could be his pipe bomb. And the wrestling world has reacted. What are they saying?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, this is odd to say. I mean, in the end, it's to screw CM Punk and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I mean,
It's still a performance.
we all know MJF, but on the surface, kayfabe speaking, this was a babyface promo, and there was no screw against CM Punk when he came out. And he asked Max. He goes, "Was this real?" And Max, with tears in his eyes, said yes. I mean, Maxwell basically told the story of his life growing up as a young Jewish boy, and man, it was basically a babyface promo. There was no heel MJF in this thing at all last night. It was just tremendous to see. First off, before we get to reaction around the world, let's talk about Maxwell's mother. She tweeted out this morning saying, "Wow, Max, I started to lose hope that you would ever be a decent human being again." Played a little kayfabe.
Gotta love his mom protecting the business.
Oh, his parents are great. If you ever see them at shows, they bring
They have
signs.
the sign, "Our son is an asshole."
Wow, Max, I started to lose hope that you would ever be a decent human being again. I'm very proud of you for last night. You reminded every kid out there that they can be anything that they set their mind to. Today, I am a proud mom. And this is true. I mean, let's just take away the fact that MJF is the greatest heel in the business and just praise him for that, for putting that out there. Because that's a very, even though we all know, we all know what this is leading to. I got a little something to add to that in a minute, but let's all expect that this is leading to him having Punk let his guard down, and then he's going to attack Punk. We all expect that, but what if it isn't, Kev? What if the unthinkable happens and they do a double turn? I don't expect it because there's so much else on the table, especially the Wardlow MJF thing.
He's still got to be a villain there.
Yeah, there's too much on the table for it. But man, what if they just pulled off the most amazing double turn in history, where MJF made Punk look like a piece of shit, and Punk continues to be that piece of shit, and it's not going to happen. I'm going to say 95% chance that that's not going to happen. 95% chance that MJF is just going to attack Punk, low blow him or something while his guard's down. But he didn't do it last night when he could. He could have done that last night and he didn't. So that's what makes the moment even more amazing. So
he's still a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yep.
He's still the devil. He's still playing heel. And I understand the humility in the real life thing, because that is something that All Elite Wrestling say you're a painter, right? You're a painter and you have multiple colors you can work with in terms of vibrations and emotions you can tell in a story. WWE does this a lot, and WWE loves big, broad strokes, right? And they love a really defined character that when you see comes through the curtain, and they have something you say and do, right? All Elite Wrestling certainly does that as well, but the thing that I think is always creatively risky that All Elite Wrestling does that works for them is this sense of the unscripted promo. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. Mm-hmm. Andrade is a guy who needs a script. I think you can see that now.
He's getting better, though. I've noticed in this past month.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I've noticed in the past month he's really kind of putting it together a little better.
Yeah, but you're still like,
he doesn't speak English hardly at all. At least when he came over here.
That's a challenge. So, but now you get some things that are kind of like you didn't see before. Yeah. With MJF, this guy has always been $1 million on the microphone from the word go. Yep. But he's always been $1 million at playing the hit heel villain. His head is on a swivel. He can riff on anyone in the crowd. He can cut you down. He's got his zingers, right? The trade-off with him and Punk for months has been about that. So that's the noise. That's where this is going. It's heavy metal. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to stop. I'm going to play a power ballad. And I'm going to get a tear out of your eye. What? Yep. So I think that the swerve of it is the most important thing, because the volume of it and the speed has been very heavy and mean. And last week, Punk is going to get you in a dog collar match. They've built it up. They built it up. Let's cut the noise. And the reason you do this is you still got a few more weeks here to this pay-per-view. Yeah. You got to add one more real turn. And one more real turn is slowing it down.
Yeah,
the pace the pace to get it quiet, the pace to make you question everything, the psychology of it is so good.
Actually, next week's the go home.
But that's why you do it now.
Yeah.
So that's why you do it now. And then you find out next week, oh, that son of a bitch, he was just playing us again. Right?
Yeah.
He was just playing us, or you find out at the pay-per-view.
You're sitting there playing heavy metal, then all of a sudden he plays some Sister Christian.
Yeah, exactly. You understand what I'm saying? Like he went for it's Metallica's Black Album. Somehow he goes to this even bigger, broader, more cinematic picture. And he's a guy who's capable of doing that. Very capable.
And the world reacted. Obviously, MJF posted after that promo and goes, "That was the hardest moment of my life. Thank you." I don't know if that was sincere or not on Twitter, because he does stay kayfabe usually on Twitter. Bully Ray saying good stuff from MJF and Eddie and Jericho. That was another great promo exchange as well, setting up that match at Revolution. MJF and I, Amanda Huber, the widow of John Huber, says, MJF and I have one thing in common. Everything we do in our life is based in spite. Captain Sean Dean. Well, maybe MJF has a heart after all. And guys like Ryan Satin, forever a fan of MJF. And man, just continuing to go on. Denise Salcedo, a friend of ours. What CM Punk and MJF did tonight was one of my favorite moments in wrestling, period. That deep promo from MJF had me really thinking and hanging on every word. CM Punk coming out to ask him if it was real. MJF teary-eyed, loved it all. So yeah, I mean, and Scott Fishman, another great guy down in Orlando, in the media, says what MJF did tonight was one of the best things I've seen on a mic in modern age. Pulling from past experience and life can have powerful results.
Absolutely. It was something else, man. I think they have one of the hottest angles right now in pro wrestling. And it's a nominee
for Feud of the Year on our.
It's a nominee for Feud of the Year. It did start in 2021, so that's why it's up there. And I know there was a little bit of residency
technicality.
Yeah, because it was near the end of the year. But go vote, Sportskeeda.com, the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards. We have interviews up on our YouTube channel with Renee Paquette, Rob Van Dam, Bill Apter, and many, many more names. All of them talking about this awards show that you need to get on because you can win prizes as well. There's so much going on with this. Over 50,000 votes have been casted. 50,000 votes worldwide.
Worldwide.
And then you see all these big names that we've had in the promos for it. They're also casting their votes publicly. So it is the most grandest, inclusive, and engaging award show, and you can win some cool stuff too. And some kind of surprising numbers are out there too in terms of who the votes are. MJF is doing pretty well on the microphone for Heel of the Year. Liv Morgan is ahead of Hangman Page for Babyface of the Year, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, usually a lot of the readers and voters are going to be a lot more WWE centric, so it's interesting to see AEW kind of break through this year.
Or you have fans pick and choose, because you go through your ballot, you're like, well, I want an AEW guy for this, or I want a WWE guy for this. Like, that's true. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're voting for your local offices and stuff like that. Yeah. Democrat on this, Republican on that.
Yeah, we did. I mean, when we did the show last year, it was actually my debut on camera for Sportskeeda. It was with Denise Salcedo and Rick Uchino, and then Jose. And yeah, literally every fan vote was WWE beaten. I don't think AEW won a single award, so they're kind of breaking through this year now.
Well, and if you're all elite for life, and how dare anyone not vote for AEW? Go vote. Go, so you can go do it. Share the link with your friends as well. And once again, you could potentially win prizes too. We're giving away some video game consoles. We're giving away some merchandise. All that cool stuff. Go check it out right now. Of course, the continued reaction to this MJF promo. Brian Cage sticking with All Elite Wrestling, and Cesaro leaving WWE. Jeff Hardy basically saying it's all but a done deal that he's going to be All Elite. Plenty of news on today's episode. If you're joining us near the end, don't be afraid to go back and check it all out. We will be back for a Freestyle Friday edition of the show this Friday. You'll be able to run the entire final segment of the show. It'll be interesting to see what questions you guys have now with all these different names shuffling along.
Been some news this week. Then we got Buddy Matthews debuting last night in the house. And hey, who was predicting that he would debut in the House of Black? Huh?
I didn't tell you that wasn't going to happen. This is another. You're doing the Ricky Castillo thing where you're saying,
I'm doing the Barry Horowitz
internet.
thing. I'm doing the Barry Horowitz thing. I'm patting myself on the back. I predicted that.
Give yourself a scratch.
I predicted that for weeks.
You deserve a scratch on the back too.
I predicted that for weeks.
Show off that tricep.
That was where they were. That was where they were going to put him. I predicted it for weeks.
It makes sense,
and it came through.
Definitely here.
You can get the scoop right here on Top Story.
There you go. Top Story airing on Sportskeeda Wrestling.
Let me do it again here.
All right, you're going to continue to pat yourself on the back until the end of the show. You can't stop until the end of the show.
That'd be a workout.
Yeah, you really throw out that tricep if you're doing it there. Yeah. So Top Story airing 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern, Monday through Friday right here. We also have pay-per-view post shows. Vince Russo joining us after Monday Night Raw. Dutch Mantel joining us after SmackDown and Rampage. Wednesday nights, we have the debrief, fresh episode of that up, covering this immediate reaction, all this crazy news, and so much more. So much more content for you. If you want to get it on the podcast side of things, subscribe on Spotify and on Apple. Thank you for the people putting us on the charts there. And remember, when watching wrestling, do the most important thing, which is what, Jeremy? Don't pat yourself on the back. What?
Oh, hold on. Yeah. There.
Stop patting yourself on the back.
I don't know if you could hear that, but it's time to enjoy wrestling. Yeah.
Talk to him.
Let me talk to